I'm hearing booze in the audience. The Constitution, yes, they did. 3 elections in a row.
You cannot compare
I can, because they're going through what they deem to be a legal process. I think it's illegal, no matter which party does it. Because there's nowhere in the Constitution that says Congress gets to certify the election. They don't even use that word. This is based on an old 1886 law from the Reconstruction era. It's for a very different situation. We need to get rid of that entire process.
We need to have a full page 1 rewrite of the Constitution, not that there aren't some great things in it.
So this should have never been allowed to happen. I know he's a friend of yours. He's a friend of CNN. That's why nobody watches CNN anymore, because they have no credibility.
Last time, we walked through how Bill Maher completely tore apart Kaitlan Collins on live television, but let's be real, that was just scratching the surface. A lot of heated moments never made the final cut because of time limits, and viewers didn't get the full picture of what actually went down. Today, that changes. We're rolling the tape back and zeroing in on the exact moment Maher verbally slammed the brakes. No filters, no gentle questions, and absolutely no mercy. And this is only the start. We'll also break down how Kaitlan attempts to corner Donald Trump and J.D. Vance with her signature smug gotcha style. So buckle in, tap that subscribe button, and get ready, because this breakdown is about to turn serious.
To act like what Democrats have done before, which is often something that Republicans, when we have them on my show, say when we talk about January 6th and the fake electors and Trump refusing to admit that he lost the election. There was barely a peaceful transfer of power. They actually wouldn't even allow them to move forward with getting federal funding to start the transition for weeks. I remember it was because we found out about a little known position that no one in the federal government even really knew much about because of that. But also, the difference then is Joe Biden went and certified the election. He was the vice president then, and he certified Donald Trump's election and there was not a massive... because Mike Pence was pressured not to by Donald Trump.
The entire process of certification is bullshit.
Even before Maher joined the exchange, Kaitlan had already shown exactly how she plays the game. In her framing, Republicans consistently appear as the villains, while Democrats are presented as near-perfect heroes. She applauded Joe Biden for certifying the 2017 election as though it were some monumental act of bravery and leadership. But the moment it was noted that Mike Pence carried out the same duty in 2021, she quickly minimized it and brushed it aside. That wasn't random. That was deliberate. That was selective outrage in action. It revealed she wasn't pursuing balance, she was shielding one side while going after the other.
Nasty person, I'll tell you.
More on this video in a bit, but for now, let's see how Bill Maher obliterates Kaitlan Collins for her behavior.
Democrats opened this door, Republicans ran through it. Congress, I'm hearing booze in the audience. The Constitution, yes, they did. 3 elections in a row.
You cannot compare
I can, because they're going through what they deem to be a legal process. I think it's illegal, no matter which party does it. Because there's nowhere in the Constitution that says Congress gets to certify the election. They don't even use that word. This is based on an old 1886 law from the Reconstruction era. It's for a very different situation. We need to get rid of that entire process.
We need to have a full page 1 rewrite of the Constitution, not that there aren't some great things in it.
We have the oldest Constitution in the world.
Right, and some of it is ridiculous. I live in a state with 40 million people, and I get 2 senators, and the Dakota Territory gets 4.
Kaitlan doesn't display bias occasionally. She structures her entire on-air persona around it. Every question is tightly engineered. Every follow-up aims to box her guest in. Every pause is loaded to imply guilt. She doesn't walk into interviews searching for clarity. She walks in hunting for admissions. The conclusion is practically written before the first sentence is spoken. That's why so many of her segments feel less like discussions and more like cross-examinations. It's also why Trump once labeled her a nasty person. It wasn't simply name-calling. It was pointing to a pattern viewers had already begun to recognize.
A really important point, Kaitlan. Who is the number 3 person from the Biden Department of Justice who went to work for the New York prosecutor just months before he brought this case against Donald Trump? You can't have people moving from the Biden administration to prosecute Donald Trump in New York and say it has nothing to do with the Biden administration, especially when the judge is a Biden administration donor.
Attorneys go from the Justice Department to local DA's offices all the time. That's not that unusual. I mean, you're an attorney, you know that.
It's pretty
Probably have
unusual.
colleagues who went to Yale with you that did that.
It's pretty unusual for the number 3 person in the Department of Justice to then go to the New York prosecutor's office to bring a bogus case against Donald Trump, and then to have the judge presiding over that case to be a donor to Biden-Harris. I think that's pretty unusual, Caitlan, and really is, aside from your views or anyone else's views about Donald Trump, this is a real threat to Americans' trust in the legal system.
The moment Bill Maher entered the conversation, the entire atmosphere shifted. He refused to play along with the typical media routine. He didn't cushion his language. Instead, he went straight at the double standards shaping modern journalism. Maher made it clear the rules shouldn't flip depending on who occupies the White House. If something in the Constitution is outdated, then it's outdated across the board, not only when Republicans hold power. He pressed journalists to stop taking cover behind party loyalty and start doing the real work, reporting the truth, even when it makes people uncomfortable.
His attorney argued that a president could order the military to stage a coup and to have their political opponent assassinated and be immune from prosecution unless this theory that they were impeached and then convicted by the Senate. Do you share the view that presidents are basically above the law?
Look, Caitlan, I think we have to be careful about imputing words into the president's attorneys that they didn't actually say. What the president's attorney said is that what the president's attorney said, Caitlan, to be clear, is that there is a checks and balances system in our Constitution. Now, some things the president does, private acts, are liable to criminal penalties, but most of the things that the president does in their official duties, we have a system of impeachment, we have a system of checks and balances, the legislative branch that I'm a member of, the judicial branch. I did not read the president's attorneys as saying that the president could order a coup. The president's attorneys are saying that the constitutional checks and balances system would address that problem, and I think that's an important distinction.
But let me stop you right there, because I listened to this. It's John Sauer, Trump's attorney, and when he was asked by one of the justices if the president could order the military to stage a
J.D. Vance reinforced the point with a moment of his own. He spotted Caitlin's setup from a mile away. She attempted to paint Trump as directly responsible for January 6th using carefully loaded wording and tightly framed accusations. She wasn't really asking, she was constructing a case in real time. But Vance didn't take the bait. He pushed back, highlighting how she was twisting language and shaping a narrative that didn't fully align with reality. In that instant, the momentum shifted. Caitlan lost her grip on the exchange, and viewers got a clear look at how shaky her approach actually was.
I'm sorry, but she's only a star with leftists, and the fact that she has some roots in Alabama does not make her a fair and balanced reporter. I will submit to the record, her biggest sin is not that she is biased, though she is. It's that she's boring. She's extremely boring with no personality. I have a pro tip for her. Smile. Try smiling every once in a while. Try not to be, like, in your delivery, such a cold-hearted all the time, because it gives people nothing to bond to. You can be a tough interviewer and also have some...
Now let's address what many people think, but rarely say outright. Caitlin's interviews can come across as dull. They move slowly. They feel predictable. At times, they even sound pre-scripted. Her questions often resemble recycled talking points. Her delivery can feel flat and low energy. There's little spontaneity, little curiosity, and not much originality. Watching sometimes feels like sitting through a required lecture you never volunteered for. That perception is one reason CNN has struggled with ratings. Viewers don't want to feel lectured. They want authentic, unscripted conversations.
It had never been allowed to happen. I know he's a friend of yours. He's a friend of CNN. That's why nobody watches CNN anymore, because they have no credibility. Okay, who else?
Trump has never shied away from calling this out, and he does it in his signature unfiltered fashion. No scripts in front of him. No corporate polish softening the edges. No carefully rehearsed talking points designed to play it safe. When Trump accused CNN and some of its top personalities of being too closely aligned with Democrats, he wasn't exactly unveiling some shocking secret. He was amplifying what many Americans had already been thinking for years. In his view, the media bubble had grown too comfortable and too insulated from real scrutiny. By confronting it head-on, he forced the conversation into the open where viewers could judge for themselves. Supporters see this blunt approach as proof he's willing to challenge powerful institutions. Critics, of course, see it very differently, but the impact is hard to ignore. It's a big reason Trump is still widely viewed as a disruptive force within the political establishment. And every time he steps to a microphone, he reinforces the perception among his base that today's media landscape can feel tightly managed and deeply partisan.
Obviously, with the cars, all foreign-made cars imports are getting a 25% tariff starting at midnight. If half the cars coming into the United States are foreign-made, that's hard to turn around overnight, as you know. So what would you say to people in the auto industry who are worried about that timeline and how quickly that could shift?
Buy American.
And what about American-made cars and produced cars that are being made using foreign-made parts?
Well, I believe the USMCA is exempt.
In the end, Bill Maher, J.D. Vance, Trump, and even several government voices have all highlighted the same recurring pattern that's been hard to ignore. Caitlin's playbook is becoming increasingly transparent, and the strategies she relies on are starting to look repetitive. The tactics she uses feel predictable, almost formulaic, and the way she frames her questions is easy for viewers to spot. Her selective outrage is more obvious than ever, making it clear that fairness is not her priority. Today's audience is sharper and more discerning than many give them credit for. They are paying attention, analyzing every word, and questioning the narratives presented to them. Once trust in a journalist or a network starts to erode, it is incredibly difficult to restore that credibility. Caitlan and networks like CNN now find themselves in a position where they are constantly under scrutiny, with viewers quick to notice inconsistencies or bias. The game has changed, and the public is no longer willing to accept scripted media performances at face value. For those who want a clear, unfiltered look at what's really happening in media and politics, this kind of breakdown is essential. If you found this analysis insightful, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more in-depth commentary. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time with more eye-opening insights.